Welcome back, everybody. This is These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. Kevin Hord here.
Lorenzo Phan over here.
Yo, Lorenzo.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I just watched an episode called Senate Spy, Season 2, Episode 4, production of 205, release date of October 16th, 2009.
Indeed, yes, that's what I have.
I hope that you did the same.
Yeah, one of these times I'm going to accidentally watch the wrong one, and...
Don't you remember when I did that shit several weeks ago? I
think so.
Jostled up my desk here. Sorry about that. Yeah, I had watched like the wrong episode multiple times. And,
oh, that's right. That's right.
Then when I sat down to actually take my notes, I was like, what the fuck is going on? What? Who?
Like you somehow skipped it.
Who are these people? Yeah, I still have not found what episode that was. So I think that was that?
But hey, it worked out.
Cargo of Doom or Children of the Force.
One of those. Yeah.
Is what I was supposed to be watching. I was not. So I don't know.
That's fine.
We have a somewhat unique circumstance this week whereby the episode was released on October 16th of 2009. This episode is coming out October 17th of 2018. So it's all, I think that's as close as we're going to be to like syncing release dates. It is as though we watched this yesterday, 9 years ago, and here you go.
For you, yeah, I definitely did not watch this 9 years ago.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So we're still in the 21 BBY timeline. Our director this week is Stuart Lee, same director as the Zillaby Strikes Back, and
nice.
Bounty Hunters and Defenders of Peace. So he's directed several of these. So maybe his directing style will link up with our thumbs up, thumbs down at the end. Maybe not. Writers are Melinda Sue,
yep,
Drew Z. Greenberg, and Brian Larson. We've seen quite a bit of Brian Larson. The other two I don't remember seeing in the past.
Yeah.
So, fortune cookie for the week. A true heart should never be doubted.
I'm going with Shmi for this one.
Victory it is.
Yeah.
Shmi is who I've got.
Yep. That's exactly who came to mind.
And Lorenzo and I were talking a little bit before recording, and I decided, I don't know if Lorenzo agrees, but last week with the Zillaby Strikes Back, we were having a tough time deciding who was talking about the beast within, and I decided that it was Darth Bane. So then we went on a little dive of whether or not Bane is still canon. Haven't gotten to the bottom of that rabbit hole yet, but
Bane did come up in an episode though, didn't he? I feel like he did, and we were talking about it. But then now,
I think so.
But because here's what happens: as soon as we're done recording these episodes, I move on, and I completely forget about what we said in most of these episodes, which is really bad. My memory's falling away.
Falling away for me.
I will need my my memories recollected to me via a notebook by Ryan Gosling. So,
I have many notebooks on our podcast excursion, so I can send those over, and you can try to decipher my cuneiform notes if you like.
Sure, yeah. That might help. I don't know.
I have written most of them.
I have my own notes, yeah.
I've written most of them in Arbesh, so good luck.
Oh, boy.
Newsreel this week, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is... we're not like calling back to a previous episode. It's kind of like a fill-in to just get this thing started. Essentially, I think we're introduced to the character of Rush Clovis. Have we seen this guy before?
Not that I recall.
Not that I recall either. So we hear about this guy Rush Rush Clovis He's just called Clovis essentially for the rest of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jedi Council suspects that he is a spy, so they decide they need their own spy to spy on the spy.
Yeah, they just essentially want to confirm if he's a spy or not.
Right.
Is kind of what's happening.
This reminds me of the Recruit that we talked about recently, the first episode of Resistance, where it was like, because I remember specifically saying, like, hey, you're a spy of a spy of a spy, you know? So, I just wanted to share that little random thought that popped into my head there. But, yeah, Clovis is a spy. The council decides they need a spy on the spy. And Anakin has been gone for a while. And as we transition out of the newsreel and into the episode, he transitions from being gone to walking into Padmé's apartment. And the two of them are going to converse for a little bit. Padmé is kind of scantily clad here.
Yeah,
and
she's I couldn't tell if she was like in her PJs or...
I don't think she is, because I think that she wears this exact outfit later at the Senate.
That is true, yeah. It does come up, but it's odd because it's a weird thing that covers her bosom, and then it forms the cloth forms like a diamond around her midriff or something like that, right?
It's like a crisscrossy halter top that exposes midriff and back at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of skin going on.
Covers bosom and butt.
Yes. But what is clear to me in this scene, which I find really interesting, because first question I want to ask, have we seen them like in their home life yet on this show?
No, definitely not to this extent.
Yeah, because they're definitely enjoying married life in this scene. Right?
Yeah, one of the last things of the newsreel, the announcer says Anakin meets with his wife, Padmé.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's definitely the first time that wife has come up.
Yeah.
Anakin walks in with like this to-go box.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have a little interaction about where'd you get the food, how'd you get here, blah blah. And basically Anakin is like, yeah, my ship crashed, you know, so I had to like jump a freighter, and the freighter was like going to a restaurant and like gave me some food, and I just got and he doesn't get to finish the sentence because he says, like, the freighter brought me home, and then Padmé's all smitten. She's like, oh, you called this home? And he's like, yeah, what else would I call it? And, like, kisses her and then sits on the couch with his to-go box. A little bit of Arbesh here. On the sides of the box, it says warm food, and on the top of the box, it says sushi. So I enjoy sushi, but I don't know that I enjoy warm sushi.
Hey, you never know. It might be a different thing.
I enjoy
the space
normally
sushi.
I enjoy my food warm and my beverages cold, but when I have sushi, I enjoy my beverages warm and my food cold.
Very nice. Very nice indeed. Yeah. Warm sake does sound really good. I like seeing them in this Netflix and chill mode, which we have never seen them in before too. So like not only are they,
there's definitely a heavy innuendo of the chill portion.
Oh, completely.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah, so like they start out as like a cute married couple, and then it definitely really quickly transitions into Netflix and chill.
Yeah, Padmé's like, that's great that you had food, but like one of my advisors like gave me this thing, and it's my specialty, and what it's called, like 5 season bread or some shit like that.
Honestly, don't remember what you're talking about at all.
Yeah,
that part.
Well, Anakin's like, you know how to cook, and she's like, yeah, definitely, I know how to cook. I wanted to save it for like a special occasion. I'm thinking that this is the consummation of their marriage, like this night. And I also think
I wouldn't be surprised. I was wondering that too.
I don't know if it works out in the timeline, but I was thinking that I mean, I guess it can't, but I was thinking that, like, this is the night.
No, this is not the night that results in something wonderful happening.
Right. Okay.
Like, we're 3 years down the line still, right? Like, or 2. Like, 2 years.
Two. Yeah, two.
Yeah.
Maybe the gestational period for humans in the Star Wars universe is like 2 years.
No. I'm not going to go with that one yet. We have nothing to back up this 2-year gestational period for humans in Star Wars. I'm going to assume still 9 months. I'm assuming the biology is all the same down there. So
fair enough.
So anyways, what's happening next after all of this jazz?
After their special occasion equals doing it, is what you mean?
Right, yes. Yeah.
So we cut to the Jedi Council, and the big three are having a convo about the banking clan and Separatist and Clovis, and Yoda wanted Padmé to be a spy on Clovis because they think that he's working with the Separatists because he represents the banking clan, and they want Anakin to convince her of this mission because Yoda already talked to her and she said no thanks. I think what the way that Mace describes it is like she refused, but I feel more like she declined. I don't know. I feel like Mace like amps some shit up with his language because he's like, yeah, we're going in for an invasion and she refused. And
I don't know. That's a small point.
Very true.
Either way, she's not doing it. So she said no. So they're still concerned because she would be the one that's closest to Clovis.
Yeah.
And Anakin is unaware of this fact.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Obi-Wan says that he's like, I've been signaling Anakin all night. I don't know where he could be. And then we cut back to
Anakin and Padmé.
Yeah, I said post-sex Padakin.
But they're standing there, so it's really weird. Like, they were like in a chill position, and then like they're just standing out in the balcony, and
they're fully dressed in what they were wearing, and they're staring out into the night, caressing each other.
Yeah, but then his communicator beeps a few more times, and then Anakin is like, "I should probably answer this. He's been ringing me all night, Obi-Wan," and Padmé kind of gets mad.
She does. Anakin's like, hey, I'm being called in. Padmé's like, you mean right now? And Anakin's like, yeah, 7 clicks ago. So the term clicks, I looked this up.
Yeah.
And because I thought that clicks was a measure of distance, not of time.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out if you spell clicks with a C, it is a small measurement of time. That is the definition. And
interesting.
It was used. It has 2 references in the Star Wars universe: this episode and Solo: A Star Wars Story, where Han tells Chewie, "I'll be back in 2 clicks or a couple of clicks or something like that." Now, if you spell clicks with a K, it is synonymous with a kilometer.
Ah, okay.
And is used multiple times in the Star Wars universe.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, yeah.
That's fine. I'm not gonna lie because the subtitles on Netflix did spell it with a C. So. So
I just happened to look it up with a C, and then it was like one of those things where it was like, you might be looking for clicks with a K, and I was like, well, maybe I was. So I clicked on that. I clicked on the click, and then I learned that click and click are different depending on the C and the K.
Very interesting. That's good to know. So anyways, what happens afterwards here?
Anakin basically says, hey, I've been ducking him all night. He's going to come looking for me. We don't want clones here. Padmé gets mad. He can feel it through the Force. She's like, don't think you can read my mind. And then he says, don't take this personally. Duty comes first, especially in wartime. And then we cut back to Obi-Wan Mace looking at a hologram. Anakin shows up and he's like, sorry I'm late, what's up? But he's not late, he's like a half a fucking day late. Because they had their Netflix and chill for a while, and then got dressed and hung out on the balcony, embracing each other.
Yeah.
And
the council's been having meetings, like multiple meetings about this, and
Right.
Anakin's been gone for all of them.
Right. So they all discuss Clovis as a spy and sending in Padmé. Anakin definitely disagrees, and then Yoda breaks the news that that essentially Clovis and Padmé dated. And Anakin's like, what? Like, no, for real. Like, that didn't happen. I didn't know about that. Yoda's like, know about this. Why would you? And so Anakin's got to back up his tracks, and he's like, oh, wait, no. I just don't, I don't see them being together. Like, he's in the banking clan, and she's, like, a legit senator. So, like, no, that wouldn't happen. And so then we cut back to the Senate, and Anakin runs up to Padmé, and she's like, oh, you finally have time for me, huh? And he was like, what, are you still mad about last night? Like, we totally Netflixed and chilled. And she's like, yeah, and then you bounced. Like, of course I'd be mad. I don't just Netflix and chill with anybody. And he's like, speaking of which, tell me about Clovis.
Yeah, he just like drops it with no warning, no tact, no ease into it.
Nothing. He's like, he really.
How you know this? Yeah, how you know this Clovis? Like, how do you know this guy?
Don't be mad I boned you and left. Tell me about this other dude you used to hang out with.
Yeah.
He comes off as very jealous.
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, she is also very bitter about the shortened date. So, like, they're both kind of acting like twits, really. Like.
So, I think I was wrong. I think that what she was wearing earlier, she's not wearing here, because I have a note about her hair color. And when she's wearing the crisscrossy bosom and bum cover midriff exposed robe or whatever it is, her hair has like this purple tinge to it.
Yes, I noticed that. Yeah.
But in this scene, it's all brown all the way. Like,
it goes back to her
normal
solid color
hair color.
Yeah.
They do a walk and talk as the scene progresses, and they walk into like her Senate pod, and Anakin like engages the pod, so then it's like floating around, which I'm imagining the rest of the entire Senate like being able to hear what they are saying,
or at least see them engaged in what is very clearly a heavy-duty marital spat. Right. Yeah,
which includes like a weird kind of like husband-wife, like male-female. I don't want to use the word dominance, but like there's some. There's the weird vibe of essentially Anakin being like, it's okay for me to do this stuff because I'm a dude, but it's not okay for you to do this stuff because you're a chick. And you're not smart enough, strong enough, hard enough, like whatever. And Padmé is increasingly getting madder and madder and madder. And then like the straw that breaks the camel's back is that Anakin is like, well, Clovis is like a spy for the fucking separatists. And she's like, oh, Yoda didn't tell me that. I'm definitely doing it now. And he's like, no, you're not, because I'm the man and I'm telling you you're not. She's like, oh, well, I definitely am. And so they definitely disagree on it. Don't come to a conclusion. Cut to a ship being loaded, so we know exactly who won that argument. Padmé. Do we cut to the ship, or do we... No, we cut to the council.
No, we cut to the council again.
Yeah.
Because they basically give Padmé a briefing.
Yeah, and she gives them a debriefing that essentially she'll do whatever she needs to do to get the info. My note is, Pam says, I can bang him for the Republic, and Annie says I can stop her from banging him for me.
Yeah. She basically just mentions that they haven't seen each other for a long time, so she's just hesitant about the plan, but she understands why she's the one being called to do it. So yeah, we don't cut to the ship first. We cut to Padmé and Clovis in a bar on Coruscant.
They're going out for drinks.
Yeah, and it's like a really nice bar too. They got like a nice view of the city.
Mm-hmm.
They're seated right by the window,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so they get in a nice little chit chat. And
real quick, we've got some reused assets here. My note says, "Hey, there's the Holo DJ droid."
yeah,
That was we saw that all the way back in. Was that Cat and Mouse? Was it that far back?
that far back? I don't
think it was that far back.
know. I don't recall a DJ droid in Cat and Mouse.
I don't remember when it was, but that's okay.
Yeah,
so I thought I was like, oh, that's cool. I like this little unique thing. But then we see him later on the planet that we're going to go to, like multiple of them. So then it was less unique, and I got sad at that point. But yeah, Pam and Clovis are having a conversation. He's talking about how he's going to Cato Nemoidia because he's got to put the strong arm on the
Nemoidians and the Trade Federation.
Yeah, on the Trade Federation for the banking clan. And Padmé's like, oh, yeah, can you help me? Because I keep, like, emailing them on the internet, on the space internet, and they're not responding. She's like, I want to make a deal with the Trade Federation. And he's like, yeah, I got a better idea. Like, come with me. She's like, are you flirting? He's like, winky, winky.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found this odd. And I think maybe I'll bring it up later because it becomes even more odd as far as the story choice goes later. This is where we cut to loading the ship.
Yes.
Anakin is like undercover, I guess. Mm-hmm. Doesn't make any sense to me because he is one of the most famous Jedi in the galaxy. Everybody should know his face.
I don't know because there's so many people in the Senate and not all the Senate really are paying attention to each other. And maybe not everybody's paying attention to the Jedi. Like, they know they're doing a thing, right?
Yeah, but the Senate and the Jedi are somewhat interconnected, right?
Yeah.
And you never see a senator that sees another senator that is like, I don't know who that senator is. They're always like, hello, Senator so-and-so from obscure planet that we will drop the name of one time and never see again. Yeah. But whenever you see senators and Jedi, they always know who each other are.
I think, well, again, because Padmé makes the point that Clovis hasn't been around a lot. You know, they haven't maintained contact. Clovis is probably still doing his job and stuff like that.
Right.
But, you know, like, I don't expect, like, everybody in the U.S. Senate to know every general in the Army, you know? Does that make sense?
Well, your expectations are low, because I definitely expect that.
I mean, I expect it. I just know better of our senators that they don't. I have little faith in our senators right now. So. Okay. But, so, like, Anakin will be famous to other Jedi, Army people, clones, people who have a vested interest in the Army of some sort, right?
Okay.
But then to other senators who are focused on other things, they might not know who Anakin is. Does that make sense?
It does.
Because he still bumbles around and doesn't get recognized all the time, right?
I know, and all the time it doesn't make sense. But, I mean, so we got a guy...
But why would he be so famous, though, right? Like among senators like Yoda, Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, right? Those would be your front runners.
Right, but Obi-Wan's apprentice is Anakin. Anakin, as a fucking child, saved an entire planet on accident by blowing up a fucking ship.
That is true. But what he looks like might be a different issue, though. Like,
I would imagine that with those big-ass screens that we saw that are, like, mounted on the side of buildings where Palpatine can, like, give a pre-recorded PSA against a giant Zillo beast, that
Anakin shows up in some of these.
Anakin's face has shown up before.
That's, yeah. In some of these newsreels.
In at least some of the newsreels.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
I'm saying he's probably a somewhat publicly recognized figure because of his accomplishments in the Clone Wars.
Okay, I'll give you that. Yeah. Like, I questioned it, but it didn't bother me. Does that make sense?
I'm not saying it bothers me. I'm just saying that it doesn't... It's a leap in logic for convenience.
I won't disagree with you there.
So as Anakin is undercover, Clovis meets Padmé at the ship as like the ship's being loaded up, and he definitely like pulls her in for an embrace and like gives her the kiss on each cheek, and Anakin's not so happy, so he does this weird thing where they have like roller coaster harnesses on like the chairs in the ship, and he like breaks the one in the middle so they can't sit next to each other, even though there's a row right across with like three more. So, but yeah, they take off, and I thought it was interesting that like he and Captain Panaka are in the cockpit of this ship. And I thought it was the captain that would, like, fly the ship, but we never actually see Captain Panaka flying. And I know that that's because he's a security force and not a pilot. But then why is he in the cockpit?
I just want to bring up something that really bothered me a lot about this takeoff scene.
Okay.
Which is when Clovis tries to kiss Padmé once again on the ship. And right in front of Anakin's control unit, I guess, is like a monitor looking right at them at an angle that no camera would ever be looking at these people. Of Clovis like leaning in for a kiss, and Anakin like shakes the ship a little bit,
right,
to knock him out of the seat, and he goes whoops and then flies away. I was just really bothered by this camera angle that in no way would exist, and also why is that monitor there to begin with? So
it's one of those convenient things that we see in security systems kind of throughout this series. So
yeah,
it didn't even stand out to me because we have seen shit like that often.
Yeah, this one just stood out more because it was so...
It's weird that he's got his iPad sitting there with like
a
nanny
cam.
Yeah. He obviously so he set this up knowing that he was going to break the seat and that he wanted to keep an eye on them so that he could have some piloting mishaps on accident to keep them separated. What I thought was weird is that he gives this first initial jolt, and Clovis goes flying kind of across the interior of the ship, and then he does like another little jostle, and it like throws them both perfectly into seats, and their harnesses like drop down.
Oh yeah. And they're good to go.
Yeah. It's weird. Those things don't look very comfortable and or safe. It looks like if there was an accident, it would just like rip your head off. But, whatever.
Yeah, because they aren't exactly like roller coaster harnesses either. Like they don't look like they go over the chest. I don't know if you ever went on it, but they remind me of the Alien Encounter show at Walt Disney World.
Nope.
There's a harness that goes in front of your face. So there's shoulder pads. The current ride that took it over is the stupid fucking Stitches Encounter thing at Magic Kingdom. But you sat in the circle theater. These things would come down, and like conceit was like they were going to transport you across space or something like that. But yeah, so they didn't go over your chest. There was a bar that was about like a foot away in front of your face, essentially. So I just backed up from the microphone to convey that to Kevin here.
You're all good.
But that's what it reminded me of. So so it made even less sense to me as a harness, right?
Yeah, it reminded me of like the way that you are restrained within wooden roller coasters, where it's like because you're sitting in a car and there's like a thing that
just the lap bar,
it's like a
right?
lap bar, except for this
Yeah.
lap bar was designed upside down, so it just like comes down and like pushes on your chest. It just kind of smashes you against the wall, kind of.
Sort of, yeah. Like they're just contained in the perimeter of a seat. But like but that's the thing. To me, it didn't look like they were being held in the seat. Does that make sense?
No, it looks more annoying and impractical than anything. And side note, we have discussed
completely.
my last trip to Disney World, which was in I believe either 1984 or 1985.
Hot damn.
Into the
Goodness.
park proper. I have been to downtown Disney.
Mm-hmm.
A handful of times, but
just not into past any of the gates.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I'll try and keep that in mind. So
No,
you
it's
went
good.
when there were only 2 parks, not 4.
that is true. I am older than every park except for 2. Because Epcot Center is number 3, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking worldwide. I was like, that's not right. Because we talked about the worldwide number, right?
Yeah.
Off air.
Yeah.
Because you're older than...
Everything except for 2 parks.
Yeah, that's true. And Disneyland. So worldwide... The only parks that... Wait, no. See, now I'm just getting backwards.
Disneyland and Disney World are the only 2 things that existed when I was born.
Well, parks... Yeah, so parks individually... Disneyland Park... Magic Kingdom Park... and Epcot Park were before you, right?
Epcot was
not even Epcot. So Epcot is after you. Shit.
Epcot's after me.
Oh, that's right. It's the same year, but right after you, right?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Because for me, it's those same 3. But... oh, no. Tokyo. So Tokyo is after you. Tokyo is before me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's the split.
Yep. I've got 2. You've got, 3 or 4?
3. So it goes, yeah. No, sorry. 4. I'm just fucking losing count here. Yeah, Disneyland. Here's the order. Disneyland, Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Tokyo. That's the one that differentiates. And then I am older than Disney MGM and everything fucking after that. So it goes MGM, Disney Paris, California Adventure, Tokyo Disney Sea, Hong Kong, Shanghai. There's your Disney park history, everybody. So, yep, there you go. That's my sanity tangent on every single park.
Isn't there one in Germany?
Nope, there is not. The castle is based off of a castle in Germany.
Yeah.
But there is not one in Germany. Euro Disney is Paris. So it used to be called Euro. It used to be called Euro Disney, and then they switched it to Disneyland Paris. Yeah, because Disneyland Paris got in a lot of financial troubles in the start, which is why we have a few shitty things in the United States afterwards. Like Animal Kingdom got its full budget,
Freedom
but then,
Fries?
well, no, Freedom Fries are its own separate thing, but more random history because like they were supposed to dump like $1 billion because Disneyland used to be one park and then they made it a resort and added a second park, right?
Yeah.
But they had these plans to make it like a smaller version of Disney World because geographical space, like Anaheim was built around Disneyland and they didn't buy out,
Enough space.
Enough space. In Florida, they have 43 square miles, which is, as far as I know, is like equivalent to San Francisco. But in Anaheim, they have like 150 acres or something like that.
That's a lot of acres if you own a ranch.
Yeah, if you're trying to buy land just for a single house, but not for 2 theme parks and a resort with what's currently there is 3 hotels, 2 theme parks, a shit ton of restaurants, parking garages, all that. But anyways, there was supposed to be a bigger budget thrown into the second park and the resort build out because it was just a parking lot and then Disneyland. And then when Paris failed, they still wanted the second park. But what they did was just slash the budget on it. And they spent $650 million on Disney California Adventure, which, to put that into perspective, when they added Cars Land in 2012, or it opened in 2012, it started building in 2007. This is how bad it was. California Adventure opened in 2001. It was a colossal failure. By 2007, they had announced that they were doing like a phase 2 build-up of California Adventure. The cost to redo the entryway, so like the essential main street for California Adventure, they redid it, the whole thing. They shut it down, redid, rethemed, everything, right? And they added Cars Land. So again, 2001 opening of Disney California Adventure is $650 million. Cars Land and Buena Vista Street, $1.1 billion.
That's fucking insane.
So that's how little money they spent on the original park. And I have ranted this with my friends people who were born and raised in California and get to go to it all the time. There's a nostalgia factor to Disney California Adventure, which I do not have because I didn't go to it until I moved here in 2013. That was my first experience with DCA. So I only saw DCA in its 2.0 version.
Right.
Like I went the year.
Original.
Yeah, I went the year after Cars Land opened. So everybody's like, yeah, like it's making improvements, blah blah blah. I still think it's not great. It's not an awful theme park. It's just missing a lot of that Disney magic, and they keep trying to fix it. But I would prefer they burn it all to the ground and start again, except for Cars Land. Cars Land is fine.
Yeah.
But they need to. They're like. They are trapped in decisions that they made 20 years ago with the layout. So, like, you walk down the main street, which is a lot shorter than the Disneyland main street. And so, like, there's no... like the main street that was redone is fine. But then, like, instead of having spokes that go out to the different lands, like, there's just one sort of sidewalk that kind of makes its way towards the back of the park.
It's like a meandering...
yeah.
wayward.
And then they put like the biggest fucking ride in the middle, so you have to walk around the ride if you want to go to like certain parts of the park, which is like the water ride. So it's weird. Like they just put the giant building in the middle, so it's just like there are 2 ways around it, and either way, like there's the main way that sometimes is like, because it's the main way, is super jam packed with people. So if you try and walk around, it's just like a long way around that hugs the hotel. So like you can see the hotel when you're walking around that side of the park, which kind of bothers me too. And the other mistake they did was like the far end of the park, when you're standing there, you can actually see across the street to Anaheim Convention Center and the hotels. You can see Anaheim essentially, right? So like your illusion that you're like what was supposed to be Paradise Pier, and it was supposed to be like a turn of the 19th to 20th century Californian dockside pier sort of thing.
Right.
Like that illusion is broken because there's fucking Anaheim Convention Center right there across the street from
maybe
Patella.
Maybe the convention center is paradise.
Right, yeah. Like the 1960s concrete chic building. But anyways, that's my long rant about DCA.
Yes.
Which,
so also,
I'm there, but yes.
Also in Disney in California, there is Star Wars Land. What do they call it? Star Wars.
Are you talking about what's coming up or what's there?
Yeah,
already?
what's coming up?
So Star Wars Galaxy Edge.
Yes, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
That's what's upcoming. Yes.
And in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, there is a spaceport of Batuu.
Yes.
And from Batuu, you can probably fly to Cato Nemoidia.
Yes.
Which our characters are currently. We don't see any hyperspace activity.
Nope.
It's basically
They just land.
some pilot shenanigans, and then we arrive on Cato Nemoidia. Lot himself comes out to greet everybody. He's pretty surprised to see Padmé.
Yeah, I guess there was no memo sent whatsoever.
I guess
Padmé. No, that's fine.
He plays it off pretty cool, and he's got some more of the like DJ droids with him. Those are like his posse, and he basically says, "Yo, droid bitches," because that's the way he treats them. Those are not my words. Those are a paraphrase of his. And he's like, "Take her to her room because we got business to deal with." So he and Clovis,
business.
Padmé goes to her room. Clovis and Lot-Da do a walk and talk, and then they're in front of this big hollow projection of what we learn is a new droid factory. And Clovis is essentially like, the banking clan is funding this thing, and it's for you guys, and the Separatists are all going to be happy, and we're going to make a lot of money, and Dooku will be pleased.
But then Dodd tries to extort more credits out of...
Not quite yet. He says, we can't let the Republic know. Padmé, after being in her room, is like, "Hey, 3PO, like, I feel like going for a walk." And 3PO's like, "Okay, sounds great. I'll stay here because I'm 3PO."
What else is...
Whatever.
Yeah, what else is he doing?
So she wanders out. I don't know if some of her actions are convenient or not, because they're played as convenient, but I think that they're planned by her. I think what she's doing is like, 3PO, stay behind. I'm going for a walk. I'm going to like snoop and find out what's going on, because she's a quote unquote spy, right? Mm-hmm. So she kind of beelines it over down the hall, because their little meeting is not even like hidden, right?
Yeah, it's like in the library, we find out later.
Right. So I guess she goes to the library. Poggle the Lesser is in on this too, and this is the point where Poggle's talking to Dodd, and he's like, grill, click, click, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever that means, which is apparently, hey, we're doing all the work. We want more money out of the deal. We want a bigger portion of the pie, right? Mm-hmm. We're hungry for credits, and you're being a fat American about it and keeping more for yourself. Like, Lot agrees. Clovis says, nope, a deal is a deal. At this point, Padmé is pretty much just right behind them, and Lot is like, shit, she saw us, turn off the holoprojector, and we'll just pretend like nothing happened. Because she's basically in the room with them.
Yeah.
Clovis, questions her, what are you doing? She definitely plays like the dumb damsel, like, oh, I was just wandering around because I wanted to see some things. Like, there's books in the library.
Or she even brings it up too, where she was like, I was just feeling lonely.
Yeah.
I was so alone in my lonely room.
Alone, so I needed to see some books.
I just needed a big, strong man to show me around this place, because I can't figure anything out about how rooms work. Right.
So he's like, nope, I'll totally show you around later, but right now you got to change for dinner.
Right, for dinner.
And then looks back at Poggle Dodd, and he's like, hey, I'll see you dudes at dinner.
Yeah, like there's some sort of formal dinner happening that was just announced, like, it's like a first-class Titanic dinner, I guess, so she needs, like, wash up or something, like.
I guess. So she's currently wearing the same getup that she was deflowered in, and then
yes,
she goes and changes into an outfit that covers even less of her body.
Yeah. This dress like literally defies physics.
Because
it's the purple one that goes front flap, back exposed, goes down just all front, right?
Right.
Then like
this one that she puts on is like a nipple cover that exposes side boob, does cover her stomach, but exposes like her hip bones and barely covers her butt crack.
Yes.
But it has sleeves. They're just not attached.
They're not attached to anything. She just has like shoulder thingies going on, right?
Right.
Like she's got shoulder poofs happening. So, yeah, this one bothered me even more than the diamond cutout halter top thing. So
we have we have a small cutaway where Anakin is staring up listfully at a window, like waiting for Padmé's call, because apparently, like, when she finds the info, she's gonna like inform him or something.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like some sort of messaging system is happening that apparently has been agreed upon, but we have never heard about it until this moment.
R2-D2 pulls like a hot dog out of his stomach, and he's like, "Yo, bro, you want some food, man? While you wait." And Anakin's not having it. So we cut from here back to, so there's like the reveal of what Padmé's wearing, and then we cut to Lot Dodd talking to Poggle the Lesser, and his plan is to poison Padmé because he has decided that is Rush Clovis's that is Rush Clovis's weakness is Padmé. Like, use the girl to get the guy to do what you want to do. And so they agree, we're gonna poison her, and it's at this point that we cut to dinner, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So here's my question. This takes place after Attack of the Clones, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Attack of the Clones, we have a representative, or we have like the president of the Trade Federation, who is hell-bent on killing Padmé and having her head on his desk, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is working with Dooku. So we know the Trade Federation is working with Dooku. Like, proven fact. She even brings it up, like, in the Senate, like, they're working together. I know they are. Like, the Trade Federation is part of the Separatist Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then Obi-Wan sees a representative of the banking clan that is like, the banking clan will sign your treaty. Like, that's Wat Tambor, right? That, like,
yes,
the banking clan will sign your treaty. So we know that the banking clan and the Trade Federation are part of the Separatist Union.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that the head of the Trade Federation wants Padmé dead. And so what she decides to do is follow her ex-boyfriend to a meeting between the banking clan and the Trade Federation. And supposedly he, Clovis, is the Senate representation of the banking clan.
Yes.
From a particular planet. Right? So he's a senator of the planet Scipio. But
I
he
didn't
is
look that much up.
a representative also of the banking clan. So he's like double dipping. And she thinks it's a good idea to sit down with a whole bunch of Nemoidians. And fucking Poggle the Lesser is there, who is like standing next to Count Dooku during the attempted like death by crazy alien animals, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And she's just like, yeah, this is totally a good idea. Like, I can't believe that Clovis would be involved in something nefarious.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring this all up because especially with Poggle the Lesser there, I really
And Lot Dad.
and yeah, I just don't know. Yeah, the logic definitely for this was missing hardcore.
And we've seen banking clan ships like in other episodes fighting against the Republic.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's no question of whether this guy is a spy. Like, he's a traitor to the Republic. Like, that's what he is. So this storyline's fine. Like, you think there's a spy, we need to send in another spy, like ex-love interest, whatever, okay? Don't use the Trade Federation and the banking clan. Like,
Yes.
Make up some
I
other
agree.
mumbo-jumbo, right?
Yeah.
Lot died after he decided that he was going to poison her. They meet up in like an entranceway or ballroom or whatever you want to call it, and he's like, "Oh, Senator, it's good to see you. You should share this beverage with me," and takes a drink and then like wipes his thumb across it in some weird Hano Onaka
Like some
pirate
poison
fashion.
goo.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she drinks it, and you see the stuff touch her lips. So you're like, ooh, she got the green stuff on her lips. Like, she's poisoned. And then they go all through dinner. They get up from dinner. All of the Nemoidians that want to kill her leave.
Yep.
She's talking to Clovis, and she's like, oh, I'm feeling a little lightheaded. And 3PO's like, yeah, you should probably go lay down, because droids go to dinner. But you should go lay down. And Clovis is like, nope, you're dismissed. I'm taking her on a tour. So 3PO leaves, goes back to the room, talks to Anakin. Anakin's like, what the fuck, bro? Like, why is she not with you? 3PO's like, well, I tried to convince her, but yeah, she's hanging out with Clovis. They're probably going to do it. So Anakin's mad. Runs off after Padmé. Padmé and Clovis go back to the library because he's going to give her a tour of places that she's already been, because that makes sense.
Yep.
She says to him, like, oh, I'm feeling lightheaded. Could you get me a glass of water? So he leaves, and immediately she's, like, upright and alert. So she's feigning being faint.
Yes. Yeah.
So as an audience, we see these things happening and we're like, shit, the poison's kicking in. But that's not really what's happening. What's happening is that she's pretending because she's a spy of a spy.
Yep.
She finds the secret message, the secret disk of information with the new
factory,
droid factory and location and everything else. So she downloads that. There's a really clever password on it. And she runs through all the obvious ones like password, WordPass, password capital P, Clovis, banking clan, Padmé. And Padmé is the one that works, right? Mm-hmm. Because that makes sense. And so as she extracts the disc, Clovis comes back without a glass of water.
Yeah.
Does he have a glass of water?
He does have a glass of water.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's got one. Clovis
because,
returns.
because Anakin actually doesn't leave the room yet. When she gets the disc with the information on it, she pulls the disc out, signals Anakin. Anakin goes, finally, great, runs out of there.
You are correct.
Then Clovis comes back with the glass, and because she turns around and hides the disc behind her back with one hand, and then she's holding the glass in the other.
I would say she could put it in her pocket, but this dress is not large enough to have a pocket for a jump drive.
Yeah, there's nothing. So she's holding the one glass, and then Clovis comes in and is like, I would really like to like hold your hand or something like that. And because she's holding it, she smartly jumps on him and just like goes in straight for the hug. So he doesn't see that the disc is behind his back, and she's still holding the glass in the other.
I agree that this is a smart move if Anakin was already there, because Anakin walks in after this embrace begins, and then it works for her because she's got some double entendre speech here where she's like, this is what I've been waiting for the entire night. Clovis thinks that it's to be close to him. Anakin realizes that she has the disc. That's what she's been waiting for. So she kind of gives it a little toss. Anakin catches it before it hits the ground in a quite less dramatic Mission Impossible moment. Yeah. He uses the Force to float it over to him. He's good. He runs off.
Yes.
He runs back to R2. At this point, Padme is actually feeling the effects of the poison.
Yes.
So she's like, I don't feel good, and like collapses. And then Clovis is like, yep, it's poison. She's got all the symptoms of poison. Like, good thing that her ruse earlier was slight symptoms of poisoning, and this confirms it. So he takes off to Lot Dod, and he's like, I know this is what you did. You poisoned her, right?
Yes.
And Lot Dod's like, I'm not giving you the antidote. Like, give me my disc, and I'll give you the antidote. That's what their agreement is, right? Disc for the antidote?
Well, because like there's some back and forth where Clovis is like, why did you poison Padme? Like, what is this about? And Lot Dod is like, well, Padme's obviously a spy. And right. Clovis is like, what are you talking about? Of course she's not a spy. She's not a spy. Why would she be spying? And Lot Dod is like, dude, she's clearly a spy. She hasn't talked to you for years. She comes back out of the blue, and then she's here.
Right, and her servant boy is Anakin fucking Skywalker.
Yeah, like, what is wrong with you, dude? So then Clovis is like, no, she's not a spy, and then goes back to the library and finds that the data disk holding all the factory readouts and location and information is missing, and then Clovis is like, God damn it, she's a spy.
Yep.
Then we get into the whole, like, you need to fix her bit, right?
Yeah. I've got that he confronts Padme. Padme says, this is for the Republic, you're a traitor. The Anakin rescue begins. Anakin and Clovis have a confrontation. Clovis confesses his love for Padme, but his fear for Lot Dod, essentially. Mm-hmm. And this is when Dod and Clovis talk about Padme being poisoned. He pulls a blaster on Dod because Anakin is like, okay, well, I'll just take her back to Coruscant. And then for some reason, Clovis knows, no, there's not time. Like, we need to get the antidote. Like, you don't have enough time to get her back there. Like, I don't know.
Well, because then, like, Clovis and Anakin, before they leave so Padme goes back to the room. She's on the bed, and then Clovis and Anakin makes, like, some sort of side deal that nobody really agrees to, but Clovis just makes happen, where Clovis will give them the antidote if they give him back the disc. But then
this is the moment where he says that he loves Padme, and this is the moment where Anakin's like, yeah, you're afraid of Lot Dod, because Clovis wants the disc in exchange for the antidote, and Anakin's like, yeah, you want the disc because you don't want Senator Lot Dod to know that you lost the information.
You're right. Yes. Yeah.
It's pretty clever. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
And
so Clovis has no choice essentially but to go with Anakin. Right. And then so the rescue, as you had described, carries on. Yeah.
So they essentially, Anakin grabs Padme and they're just walking out to find Lot Dod, I guess.
I don't think they were specifically looking for him, or they were, but they just happened upon each other basically at the same time.
Yeah, it was just kind of happenstance that Lot Dod is like walking around with Poggle the Lesser, and Anakin and Padme and Clovis are walking down the staircase.
Walking downstairs.
Yeah, I don't know. So they all meet up.
Yeah. It's very convenient.
I think there are more of these radio DJ droids.
Yes.
With Dod.
Just hanging out.
I guess they're off air for the moment, or, whatever. I don't really know how radio DJs work. But Clovis pulls a blaster, and he's like, hey, I'm going to fucking shoot you unless you give me the antidote.
Mm-hmm.
And at no time in this show, up until this point, have we seen anybody go, you're not going to shoot me. Like, fine, if you're going to shoot me, fucking shoot me. Like, you need me more than I need you.
Nobody calls bluffs in this episode. Like,
so, Lotdod crumbles like the cowardly Nemoidian that he is, and he gives up the antidote, and he has a shaking his fist in the air moment of, you will rue the day, I will get you back, whatever. And so they all run off and get back to Padmé's ship. Anakin is like, give me the antidote, and Clovis does, and they're already up the ramp, and Clovis is on the ground, and Anakin just closes the fucking landing ramp, or the loading ramp. Clovis is kind of pissed at this, and tries to call out Anakin. Anakin says, don't worry, Clovis. It's good to know you have a heart.
Yeah.
Then he says, I wish I could give you the disc, but I have a lot of faith in your survival skills. These two things do not go together. Like, I wish I could help you, but you're good at making turkey sandwiches. So...
I mean, it was fine. It's definitely Anakin just being a prick. You know?
Like, he's definitely got the jealous boyfriend comeback, so if they want to continue telegraphing their relationship all over the universe, I think they do that pretty effectively, and it's surprising that fewer people pick up on the fact that they are together. So
there's a lot of not noticing that needs to happen between episodes 2 and 3 for that to work out. So
for sure.
Let's just put it that way.
So the ramp closes, and my next note is Anakin injects Padmé again, this time with an antidote.
Indeed, he does.
There is some sappy, lovey-dovey conversation going on.
Well, they make up because they're both angry at each other, right? Mm-hmm. So they kind of play nice again instead of just at each other's throats.
Yeah. Last little bit of the episode is we cut back to Clovis, who is still just like jaw dropped to the floor, can't believe that he was betrayed by Anakin.
Yeah.
And Lotdod's behind him and calls him out like, hey, we need to talk. Clovis turns around, kind of slowly starts walking toward Lotdod, who is flanked by many battle droids and or super battle droids, and we iris in on Clovis's butt cheeks and cue loud music, and that's it.
That's it. Yep.
So, first question.
Yeah?
Does Clovis know who Anakin Skywalker is?
That's a good question. At the end of all this, I don't think he knows still, because there's nothing Clovis has seen that would show that Anakin is a Jedi, right? Because the disc catch happens behind his back, and at no other points, because that's the kind of thing that I was surprised. The lightsaber never comes out.
Okay.
And there's no other force use except for catching the disc when Padmé drops it.
Okay. Second question.
Yeah.
This is listed as an episode with Jar Jar Binks in it. Is he in the newsreel?
I don't recall that at all.
I did not see him at all.
No, not one bit.
Because I definitely...
Is he walking around the Senate somewhere?
He might be. There was definitely a lot of reused assets in this, be it the DJ droids, which are called Betty droids.
I did not catch that at all.
Officially, in the credits, they're Betty droids.
Huh.
So I don't know how you feel about that, but which is less derogatory, a Betty droid or a nipple bum cover dress.
Which is less offensive?
Yes.
The Betty droids, without question. Yeah. Betty droids, absolutely.
Even though they are like sexualized and like have breast and wide hips.
Oh yeah.
And like a bob
Betty droids.
haircut.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
In a children's show, yeah, Betty droids all the way. Versus the essentially purple napkin that Padme is wearing.
Yeah.
To dinner.
Complete with side boob and like butt
Yeah.
nipples.
Yeah. Like it's just right above that crack. Like I'm amazed there isn't any more, like there isn't actual butt cleavage happening on that dress. So
I believe that is called believage.
Sure.
So
but yeah, no. I'll take Betty droids absolutely, because I mean her clothing in this episode made me uncomfortable, right? Like,
I figured that it would.
It was just weird, because also like the proportions on these characters, especially the female characters and especially her, is weird. Like Ahsoka's outfit still bothers me, and Padme's outfit changes are fucking weird, you know. Like I get that there's precedent for it that we've seen in Attack of the Clones, right?
Okay.
And then, you know, like Padme gets some midriff action happening in the arena when her clothes are literally being torn off, right?
She definitely does, but this is in battle, right? And what we see in this episode is wardrobe choices by Padme, not wardrobe modifications by circumstance, right?
Well,
so
she's still, because we still see her wearing like robes and flowy outfits in Attack of the Clones. Besides the midriff action that's happening in the arena.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think I know that potentially the design of these two outfits is not by a female. And I'm trying to rationalize this a little bit, whereby most of the time we see Padme in a professional environment and she has more conservative dress on, be it ornate and cultured in one way or another.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Here, when we first see Padme, she, like you said, she's got this diamond cutout thing going on. Mm-hmm. Well, she has a special occasion planned for her and her husband Anakin. So
that makes sense, and that's fine. But it's the formal dinner dress.
I
more
think
than anything.
That she is trying to seduce Clovis to get some information. Like, it doesn't. It's not communicated well, and it's, like you said, this purple napkin dress that she's wearing defies the laws of physics. Like, this isn't something that someone could physically wear. This is only something that someone could, like, glue and or paint on their body.
Right.
But I think
there's a lot of passies happening.
I think the idea is that, and even with some of the dialogue that that Padme has, is that she is using her beauty and sexual objectivity for a means. And it's a weird choice to be in a children's show, right?
Yeah, because like...
And here's where, and I know I'm arguing on a slippery slope here, the primary writer listed is Melinda Sue. So at least we have the voice of a woman on this 3-person writing team.
Yeah.
So...
But nonetheless, having to... This is why Ahsoka bothers me. Ahsoka bothers me because she's actually a child in the show.
For sure.
But then
she's 15 at this point.
Yeah, but Padmé still bothers me too, because like I don't want to have to talk about like male gaze issues in a children's show.
I don't think it's something that we should have to fucking think about.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why are we having this character? And your justifications is justification might not be the best word, but like the possible explanation as to why she's in a napkin dress.
Right.
You know, that does make sense, but again, that's still another weird, fucked up lens of like just
it's
giving...
a layer. It's a layer added to this story that is unnecessary.
Yeah.
And not only unnecessary, but out of place.
Yeah. Just it's out of place. It's, dare I say, even like inappropriate, right?
Right.
It's odd. It's very odd. Even if this happened kind of like in one of the mainline movies, like it would just be kind of an odd thing, right? Like it's fine in, say, a James Bond movie because those are geared towards adults and those are adult characters making adult decisions, right? James Bond uses his masculinity to gain information, right?
And this is like, so is this supposed to be like the Star Wars space female take on James Bondianism?
I don't know. There's nothing. It's definitely dipping into spy tropes. I wouldn't say it dips into James Bond brand of spy things the way, say, Zilla Beast dips into kaiju, Godzilla, King Kong stuff, right?
Right.
Like, if anything, there might be a few. I saw the show here and there, but like with the movie franchise, you brought it up. But Mission Impossible, you know, sexual agency is a thing that has kind of been brought up before to some degree.
Okay.
That's still not a strong thread that runs through that at all. But like, I don't know, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but like Mission Impossible 2 is the one that has the love triangle that does somewhat mirror what's happening here. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there is an antidote that is required because the female lead ends up becoming the transporter of a virus that they're trying to keep or protect or something like
or contain,
something like that. So but the end, so this is generic spy stuff. There isn't any capital S spy things happening that I can, if somebody can make those connections, then great, let me know. But right now, I'm like running through my mind Rolodex, right? Like,
yeah, I know. Yeah,
like the trope of like using your sexuality to gain information has definitely been used.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like I don't know if I feel like I'm pushing that on this, because I don't think that I do. I think I'm grasping at straws. I think I'm looking
regarding Padmé's.
I'm looking for an explanation of maybe kind of her behavior and character design, right?
Yeah.
So,
and again, this is a bigger issue than you and I, especially as two dudes talking about it. But this issue of the male gaze is an interesting topic to kind of dive into, because it's just one of those weird fucking things where it's like, look, like Princess Leia, and especially in the Star Wars universe, like a lot of these badass female characters are characters that were written by men, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Leia definitely is strong. But then by Return of the Jedi, guess what happens? She's in a fucking metal bikini, right?
And she gets groped by Han right after she gets shot.
You're right.
So, I want to say that the first time I saw this episode, I was like, probably the first outfit that Padmé wore, I didn't even notice. The second one, probably was noticed, but breezed over, like, yeah, whatever. Like, she's wearing a quote unquote sexy dress, like, doesn't matter, move on. In reviewing this multiple times in preparation for sitting down and talking about this, there definitely is in some dialogue and some behavior, like, she is pushing, like, just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I'm not good enough, strong enough, smart enough to do these things. And the way that the plot runs is that she doesn't use her good enough or smart enough or strong enough. She uses her sexy enough.
Yeah.
And it's a weird choice.
Look, again, in any other thing, because this is a trope that has been flipped on its head. Austin Powers, Spy Who Shagged Me, does this really well, where Felicity Shagwell, who admires Austin Powers, ends up sleeping with Fat Bastard because she believes that's what Austin would have done.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees nothing wrong with it. But because Austin, this is the second movie for him, so he has a small character growth between the first film to this one. That's not something he would have done at that point, so he sees issues with it.
Okay.
But to Felicity Shagwell, it's just an act the same as, like, to her, there's no line between kissing and shagging and then shooting somebody in the face, right? Like,
right.
These are just parts of her job. Her body is hers to use as a weapon, as a tool, as a device even. Like, in no way does that make her an object. She just has the understanding that, in Padmé's case, she knows how Clovis feels. So...
Okay.
She, to me, again, if this wasn't a children's show, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But the fact that she's using her personal,
physical attributes,
her physical self and her knowledge of Clovis and his feelings, I do see her as being smart about the way she goes about this, right?
Okay.
Like, I do see that as a smart way to get information because she is aware. She's self-aware of all of this.
Honestly, I thought that during our conversation today, I would be convincing you why, like, these goings on are acceptable, and I think that the tides have turned, and you are kind of convincing me of,
like, I still don't like that it's in a children's show, but because usually I'm still trying to see, like, acknowledge that the show is generally aimed towards children, but we're adults that can enjoy it and watch it. It's for all ages, but there's going to be this weird line where sometimes I'm like, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with a kid watching this per se.
Yeah,
that's my only iffiness right here, right? Yeah.
I will say I feel like the innuendo, and I think the innuendo breezes past quickly enough, and it is perhaps coded, quote unquote,
like
coded
between her
to
and Clovis.
that,
yeah. Yeah, because between her and Clovis, and especially between her and Anakin, at the most that we get, it's if I were a child, it's kissy stuff, right?
Yeah, there are.
They don't push it beyond that.
Kissy moments and a couple of holding hands and
right.
That's
so they don't push it beyond that. But then again, where I was getting towards was like through my unremovable lens as an adult, like that dress and the way she's acting, and the thing that does bother me is the fact that she's in that dress and does get drugged. Does bother me in a post Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby world.
Yep.
Right. So it's this weird muddled zone where it's like, okay, how much of that can I ignore? How much do I have to acknowledge? In this universe, she is being smart, but at the same time, it's just fucking weird as a viewer, right? Again, it's just like, that's not anything a normal person would wear, sort of.
It's
right?
Not a thing that a normal person could wear.
Right, yeah. But let me take that back. I have seen some women in some questionable outfits out and about. Okay. And this is when I stand there and I'm like, I know I'm straight, but that's a no. That's going to be a no from me, dog. Like, that's no. I don't want none of what you're serving. Like, no. That I'm folding this menu right now.
Never heard it put quite like that.
Like, milk's gone bad, okay? That's a no.
Don't know why you made the milk reference, but I'm gonna push forward. I think we've talked
we're circled around this one.
We've talked about this enough for a little bit. I've got some Wikipedia tidbits.
Have at it.
And I brought up the planet Scipio. I don't know how you pronounce it. The narrator of the newsreel says it at the beginning, and I think Padmé calls it out again. This is where Rush Clovis is a senator, okay? Mm-hmm. It's located in the Outer Rim territories. Climate is frigid. Primary terrain is hills and mountains, and this is the homeworld of the Mun species. So the Muns...
Have we seen the Muns? Yeah.
We have. We've seen them in episode 2. They are... do you remember the book? What was it? Palpatine or Sidious? The fuck was that book? Plagueis is what it was called. So this is the species of Darth Plagueis. They are narrow-headed, narrow-faced. I'm doing this into the microphone to narrow my voice.
Kevin is literally squishing his face, yeah.
And they are also, like, their heads are quite tall. I think this is actually who says something about the banking clan to Dooku. I think I've misquoted Wat Tambor on multiple episodes with my Wat Tambor impression about the banking clan, because I don't think Wat Tambor has anything to do with the banking clan. I think it is this Mun. But what I found, the reason I'm bringing it up is Clovis is not a Mun or immune. How do you say this? M-U-U-N? Is that immune or a Mun? Like, is it Olivia?
We're going to go Mune.
So it's not...
Because Mun is M-U-N-N, as in Olivia.
Olivia Mun, not Olivia Mune.
No.
Okay, so they are Mune.
For now, until we hear the narrator say differently.
Yes. So that's why I'm bringing up Scipio. And what else do I got here? Cadonamoidia. Right? Mm-hmm. This is where we are. This is a planet of so I'm going to hold off for a little bit and letting the tension build. Normally, in the Star Wars universe, we have like one attribute for a planet, right? It's the ice planet, or the jungle planet, or the sand planet, or the water planet, right? The primary terrain here is canyons, cliffs, grasslands, forests, oceans, and rock arches.
Very nice.
Points of interest are the Great Vaults of Cato Nemoidia. I scanned through this Wikipedia article and didn't find anything worth bringing up. So
Okay.
there you are. And the other thing is the bridge cities. So we did not talk about the bridge cities on our show. I talked about the bridge cities with the Rebels guys on their show. But do you remember in Revenge of the Sith when Ki-Adi-Mundi is flying in his Jedi Starfighter during, I think it's Ki-Adi-Mundi. It might be C-10 or Plo Koon. But during Order 66, and there is a planet that has like some rocky spires with some mist, and there's like these long bridges built in between.
Sort of.
And
Sounds
there's a
vaguely familiar, but
Jedi that is shot down. And this is where they meet their end. It is one of those three that I mentioned. I can't remember which. These are the bridge cities of which this article speaks. And so there are large spires coming up from the ground. Mm-hmm. The opposite of sinkholes, shall we say. And the cities are built in between these mountain peaks on large bridges. I'm trying to think of what kind of bridge this would be. What kind of bridge would it be if you threw a couple ropes across and then like put some boards on it? Don't call it a rope bridge.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that's just a rope bridge.
Suspension bridge? No, because that's like
no,
Golden
it's not suspension bridge. Yeah, Golden Gate's a suspension bridge. It's a rope bridge. It's literally just called a rope bridge, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's a rope bridge.
Yeah. But anyways, carrying on, because what else?
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that is all the bits of Wikipedia stuff that I have. I'm trying to scroll through Jar Jar Binks right now to see if he is just mentioned or whatever. Clovis.
I got nothing for you on that one.
Clovis's first appearance is in this episode, so this is not a guy that we would have seen before. Mm-hmm. So,
should we just move on to thumbs up, thumbs down then?
We can do that, but real quick. According to Wikipedia, Jar Jar Binks is in this episode. And usually he's got to just be like a character walking by somewhere. That's all.
He's probably hanging out in the Senate. The Senate's the only place because they show a buttload of characters as they're floating around in the Senate.
As they're floating around the Senate, like expositing,
like having their argument
entire Senate.
Like he's got to be floating around somewhere in there. But I only saw this episode once, so I didn't keep an eye out for him or anything.
I did the last time that I saw it out of however many times I've watched it in the past week or so. I've got 3 notes as far as voice actors go. Robin Atkin Downs does the voice of Clovis. I don't know who that is.
Okay.
James Arnold Taylor is quote-unquote the computer hologram. The same person that does the voice of Padmé also does the voice of the Betty droids.
Yeah.
And Matthew Wood, who is General Grievous, also does the voice of Poggle the Lesser.
Very nice.
So that is all. That's all I've got for mundane details of things that nobody cared about.
Let's close it up.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. What you got?
Go for it. Despite everything, I'm going to give this a thumbs up.
Okay.
Standing alone, I think this episode is fun enough. It moves along. There's nothing glaring from a story standpoint that bothers me. I thought it was a fun episode, honestly. Like, it's...
I agree with you. I give this one a thumbs up as well. It's... you and I judge these things on different merits sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
I agree with all those things that you just said, and I think that sitting down, whether you're a kid or an adult, watching this through one time, if you're a kid, you're going to be like, cool, Padmé's a spy, and
Right.
Anakin saves her, and whatever. If you're an adult, you might be like, oh, that's weird that thing happened, but like, if you're sitting down and watching it one time for 22 minutes, nothing is going to hit you so hard you're going to be like, whoa, like, time out here. We got to look into this more deeply. Us doing this show, that's what we do, is look into these things more deeply, and we're able to have the conversations about whether or not certain plot lines or whatever are appropriate, and whether or not they are. As a general audience member sitting down, I think this would be good.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I'm doing. Is it's hard not to this is what we're doing. We're deep diving into like little nitty gritty details, but the whole issue of why is Padmé there and why is she not concerned about these people that all want to kill her, that would be a known issue. Again, just taking a step back, watching this episode, that's a minor plot quibble,
Right. And honestly, for me, like, that stuff is less significant to my thumbs up, thumbs down. Something that is included, like the entire conversation that we had about whether or not it is an active choice by the writers to use Padmé and her sexuality as a progressive force through this episode, I think is an interesting enough thing that somebody that is looking a little deeper into these things would be compelled to look into this even more and the series even more. So just that as a way to pull people in to say, hey, I want to know more about this, because either A, I really disagreed with it, or B, like, it's a compelling thing to find out more about. So effectively, like, as far as being an effective storytelling method, this worked in a way to generate interest in the bigger picture.
Yes.
And I will leave Padmé and her dresses for this episode at that.
Mm-hmm. And I find this episode interesting too, and what I really liked about it is this one is a lot different than most Clone Wars episodes, in that the story, there is a story. Let's start there. There is a story that is played out through the actions of these characters and the interactions between them. And, guns get drawn, but at no point is there, like, a fight, right? Like, there isn't really a big action scene anywhere in this episode. Would you consider...
Okay.
Right?
Would I consider what?
Yeah, just, like, anything that happens towards the end of guns getting drawn at all. Like, there's a race against time with the poison.
Right,
so, like,
but
there are
not like a
stakes here.
scuffle and a...
Yeah, there's no scuffle. Lightsabers don't get drawn.
Lightsabers drawn at all, right?
Yeah, like, nobody even shoots off a blaster in this episode.
Not that I can remember.
Yeah. So, there is a self-contained story here that closes itself out to some degree, right?
Yeah.
So
I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So I found this one stood out more than most other episodes.
I think I'm usually more nitpicky about, like, the standalone episodes or the anthology episodes or whatever you want to call them in this series, because I definitely view this as, like, a giant fucking series from start to finish in a serial episodic fashion. And when we jump into the newsreel, not having like newsreels all new information to just dump us into the story. I tend to be more critical, and then when we only have one episode, one 22-minute thing, that's the way it starts, and then it ends with like we're cutting this off and moving on to something else. I again tend to be more critical. I know coming up next week is Landing at Point Rain. I don't remember what that episode is, but you are correct in the fact that this is a concise, nice little tidbit of storytelling within the Star Wars, not only the Star Wars universe, but within the Clone Wars show in general.
Yeah.
And it works. It's nice. This is, if you're going to go through and watch these episodes, there are some that I would recommend to skip. This is one that I would recommend not to skip.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, so like, look, with TV shows, it depends on the show itself, you know, and looking at individual episodes and shows, right? Like some shows are really good about each episode builds the capital A arc throughout a season, right?
Right.
And then other shows are like, hey, these are little episodes here and there. Each one is its own thing. Don't worry about it. Sometimes they'll build to a bigger thing. Sometimes they don't, right? Depends on the show.
Yeah, I will say that this is not the end for Clovis.
Yeah.
So I think he's in 2 or 3 episodes down the line. Mm-hmm. I don't know which ones they are, but I am interested for sure to see what is coming.
Yeah. So, but what I was going to say was this story concludes, but there are still details that build the universe a lot more. So going back to my question way at the beginning about, hey, is this the first time we saw Anakin and Padmé Netflixing and chilling? Like,
right.
I liked seeing some of that. That does help kind of build the bigger picture for me, right? It's details like that help fill in these holes that we don't really see otherwise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
this is a relationship building episode for the two of them, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I appreciate it actually after not seeing them together. So yeah, anything else before we get on out of here?
I don't think so, man. I think that's all I've got for this week. I think we've taken our Senate spy to the end of their current mission. Maybe if you would like to decide or confirm who the capital B bad guy is in this, I'm not sure that it is.
I'm going to go three-way tie between Lot Dodd, Poggle, and Clovis.
See, I was going to go specifically with Clovis, but I think you might be right. So,
there are internal struggles between the three of them, but they all together work against our good guys, Padme and Anakin.
Yeah, I essentially immediately regret my statement that I just made. Because Lot Dodd would probably be the bigger overarching thing.
Yeah, because he's the one that poisons and then refuses to give antidote for a hot second. So,
okay,
yeah,
you want to go a 3-way tie on that one?
Yep.
All right.
So while you're doing that, just want to give our thanks to Lindsay, who put together the music that you hear at the beginning and end of every episode. You can reach out to her at strangefantasymusic@gmail.com if you'd like her to help you out with anything musical related. Kevin Warren is our graphic artist, so the arty graphic that you see when you're listening to this on iTunes and such, Kevin Warren's the one.
You are a wordsmith.
Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. You can reach out to him at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter. You can reach out to us if you'd like. Send us an email at notthenerds@gmail.com. Kevin's in charge of our Twitter at Not The Nerds. I handle our Facebook at Not The Nerds Podcast there. Recently, we've been putting the episodes on YouTube, so please let us know if that's a good place to put this thing.
Yeah,
but
if you're on YouTube and you happen to stumble across these aren't the nerds you're looking for, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, leave us a comment, let me know what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we're keeping an eye on that. That's a thing we just started up, even though we're like some 43 episodes in. So,
if only it was 2 episodes ago, and you would have been able to say some 41.
Oh God, yeah. Right. But anyways, give us a like, subscribe wherever you're listening to us on iTunes, TuneIn, Google Play, YouTube.
Yeah, it would be awesome to get some more iTunes reviews, because I don't know how many we have, but I think we have few enough to not have an official rating yet.
Yeah.
So let's push for that. And if you guys are listening to this, give us a review on iTunes if that's where you're primarily downloading from, so that we can bump us up a little bit, get an official rating through iTunes, be able to have more people listen to the show, that you don't have to go door to door and beg, borrow, and steal and tell your friends and all that jazz. So that would, that's a favor to me. And if you can do that favor to me, I will do a favor back to you.
All right. This has been These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For.
See you later.
Bye-bye.